Should you take student loans? No. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Be sure to like and subscribe. But seriously, let's talk about why taking student loans is a bad idea. Because of their ease of access, many people, particularly young people, have this mindset.
It's free real estate.
But no, it's not. You have to pay that back. And that's one of the biggest issues with student loan borrowing. We often don't think that deep into the future, which is fair. We're wired to give more consideration to the here and now. But due to that, coupled with how easy it is to borrow huge sums of money for student loans, we often borrow more than we should. Then this becomes a massive burden that stunts our financial growth for the next 5, 10, 20, or even 30 plus years down the road. According to a study by New York Life, it takes the average person nearly 20 years to pay off their student loan debt, being well into their 40s by the time they finish. And studentaid.gov confirms this, sharing that there are over 14 million borrowers in the age bracket from 35 to 49, and another 2 million who are over the age of 60. We're supposed to be retiring, but we're still paying off student debt. Now let's look at an example at why this is such a financial misstep. Let's say you borrow $38,000 in student loans, which is about the national average. Using the borrowing simulator on studentaid.gov, using their standard repayment plan, which is a decade by the way, the fact that their standard plan is 10 years, that alone should speak volumes. But using that, had you taken out $38,000 in student loans, you'd be paying $376 per month for the next 10 years. On top of that, you'd pay $6,000 in interest alone. Now, if you've got $6,000 just burning a hole in your pocket and you need to get rid of it, I got you. Cut me a check. Now let's journey to a parallel universe where instead of taking the student loans, you invest that $376 every month. Everything looks the same. If you invested that $376 every month for the next 10 years, getting a 7% return on your money, which is about the stock market average over the last century minus inflation, then you'd end your decade with $62,000 in the bank. Even better, if you left that same money invested without ever adding another single penny, just let it stay and grow for the next 30 years, which is when you'd be coming up on retirement, you'd be creeping up on $500,000. We can see as we look further and further into the future, the ramifications of whether or not you took those student loans are magnified. It's a snowball effect. If you opt to take the student loans, when you graduate college, you're going to be starting the next phase of your life with a huge uphill battle and at a disadvantage. Another consideration in all this is, what are you majoring in? Picking up student loan debt is a risk you are taking for the potential reward of some future earnings potential that will have made it all worth it. Say potential one more time. Education is sometimes pushed so hard that we get in the mindset that we'll do whatever we gotta do, or we'll take whatever loans we gotta take in order to get that degree. Because once I have my degree, I'll be able to make X amount of dollars and I'll pay it all back and everything will be fine. The reality is, the national average salary for a fresh college graduate is only $43,000. Now that $376 payment we had in the example before is looking a little more suspect when you're considering only bringing home $3,000 after taxes and you've got mortgage and rent and maybe a car payment and yada yada yada. Now your salary may be higher, it may be lower, but if you take out $100,000 in student loan debt to get a degree in underwater basket weaving because it's your passion, you're gonna have a real problem. Taking this a step further, this has all been assuming you even graduate college. In the United States, the dropout rate for undergraduate students is 40%, which is kinda high. Life happens, things change, so this is a completely plausible scenario. If you go to school for a couple of semesters or a couple of years and rack up tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, the path ahead of you is gonna be rough. Because in all likelihood, leaving college is going to lower your earnings potential and you're going to have difficulties paying back all that debt in a reasonable amount of time. Another issue with student loans is if life really gets you down and your finances are really in a disarray and you end up having to do something as extreme as file for bankruptcy, guess what? You're still going to have your trusty student loans. With the exceptions of some very specific circumstances, student loans are generally not dischargeable in bankruptcy, so you're still going to have to make that payment for the years or decades to come. Now, everything in life is not always that black and white. There are always some gray areas and exceptions. So I'm not saying that no one in the history of history should ever take out student loans, but pretty close. I challenge you to go find somebody you know who has taken student loans and is at least a few years removed from college and ask them how they feel about their debt. I'd be willing to bet that the vast majority of them will say it was a bad idea, or at least that the amount they took was a bad idea. You don't want to be one of those people saying, I wish I had known, or I wish I hadn't taken out that debt. This is your opportunity. This is me telling you, don't do it. Don't take the debt, so you don't have to have that moment later in life saying you wish you hadn't. But Ed, if I don't take out student loans, I won't be able to go to college and my dreams will be ruined. It's almost like I knew that would be a rebuttal. So at the same time that I made this video, I made another video of 5 ways you can help pay for college so that you don't have to take out student loans. The video card is right here, and the link is in the description. Peace.